for Jackie to receive that. Thanks, Jackie. Kisses for you.
So are we ready? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
all is well. Thank you, Glenda. You are so wonderful, and it's such a pleasure to work with you. And I'm so grateful for the Women's Federation for World Peace because it's everything that you do is what I am all about. And you need to actually grow from where you're planted. That's my concept. And bloom where you can from all the fertilizer in life that is your challenge to be able to get out of it the best you can. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a journey. And that journey is to grow a tree. The tree is me. And it started more years than most of you were around. And the cultivation of that tree is in the soil itself. My father died when I was 6 years old. And at that point, I was devastated. And God said, don't worry about it. This is the worst thing that's going to happen to you, and I'll be with you forever. So that has pretty much guided my life. My mother, in her infinite wisdom, had decided to allow me to go to all different types of groups to develop my group and social entrepreneur, so to speak, self, Girl Scouts and Job's Daughters and all different types of groups. And that was very important in my life. So the ground had been cultivated, plus the songs blowing in the wind. And you know how that goes with If I Had a Hammer and Where Have All the Flowers Gone? So now you know from whence I come. Now it's time for the seed to be planted. The seed was planted in college. I went to college at San Jose State and I was at Kappa Delta sorority. And it was Kappa Delta that really planted that seed that grew through my entire life. The first was when the sorority sister introduced me to my husband, who together we have 2 children. And then the second was when a sorority sister said, well, I'm going into the Peace Corps. So my husband and I said, well, that sounds like a great idea. So we went to Liberia, West Africa. And at that point, then, the tree began to branch out into 2 areas. So the 2 branches that came from that seed, the first one was my business. And my business branch, after we got back and I went to the corporate world and realized I didn't want to play there, it was not where I belonged in Silicon Valley. I started my own business in desktop publishing, as was noted. And that turned into networking groups and people saying, well, we don't know how to use the referrals. So I coached them in LinkedIn. And I figured with 980 million people to work with, I can take them step by step to be able to locate their best alliances intentionally and become word of mouth. So that's my business side. The other branch of that tree is my global reach. And that really started in 2010, more than about 40 years after that seed was planted. So don't give up, you young people. There's still a chance for you. And that seed that actually was planted and then became, in 2010, I met a fellow by the name of Echo. And Echo was from Ghana. And it was his desire to bring the nonprofits into Ghana to be able to help the people in the villages. It was a wonderful idea, but it was too early. And we weren't ready for that. So fast forward again to 2014. In 2014, I met a woman who we call an indigo, and she knows what's happening in this world. So she said, you don't know, do you? I said, I don't know. What don't I know? And she says, you're here to change humanity. I said, what? Are you kidding me? I cried all the way home and I developed my mantra. My age justifies my wisdom. My developed clarity teaches the excitement of awareness and ignites the spark of action and change. And change did happen. Everything changed from then on. The first thing that happened is about 2016, I ran into a Dr. Paula Fellingham, and she had created an International Youth Parliament. Youth from 16 to 29-year-olds in countries all over the world, all working through the UN SDGs to improve life and to increase love, prosperity, and peace. I said, sign me up. And I mentor these people today, and that is my foundation for everything that I do, plus a few more that are thrown in here and there. And so the International Youth Parliament was first. And then from that, I talked to Pakistan and I said, what do you need? Well, we need food, we need water, we need, all the basic things. And I said, uh, well, I know all these people. I know all the answers. What am I supposed to do? So God said, you start with education and you start local. I said, I can do that. So at that point, I started manifesting Global Solutions Group, which is my global part of me. And I wanted to bring all those people on board. Started with education. I started with Footsteps to Brilliance, which was the gamified literacy app. And I thought, if I can take children to third grade level in 90 days, oh my gosh. So the next thing that I ran into, or group that I ran into, was the Lifesavers Ambassadors International. And Honorable Yvonne Gamble says, let's take those into the world. And we have 10 countries that are ready for the tablets with those, though we haven't gotten the funding because of the attempts on World War III. So we are slowly getting into that. In the meanwhile, we're going to countries all over the world to be able to bring the footsteps and many other things to those countries. And I found that the most important part was not only the literacy, but there are four of them, four areas. There's literacy, there's wellness, there is environment, and then the fourth one is employment. So if I can build resources in all of those areas, and I do, I can have all of these people that I've spoken with work together. And when I went to Liberia, talked to Liberia about the gamified literacy app, they said, well, we can't afford that. And I said, well, okay, how about a cell phone? Cell phone will work with a projector. Well, I can't afford the projector. Okay, skin in the game here. What I'll create is the Impactful Artisan Network. And that's where Spirit of the Game came in to develop that and networks of networks. So I want to leave you with 3 different thoughts real quick that might help you in guiding your life from now on. When you run into a problem, that's fine, but go ahead and go to solution as quickly as possible. The second one is when you have a challenge, ask yourself, can you change it? Secondly, are you responsible for changing it? And thirdly, if you can do it, if not, I wonder what God's going to do with this. And the third thing is to go into the conversation with empathy, without judgment, curious, open-minded, and listening. Those are the 3 things. And I'd like to leave you with a quote, my very favorite quote from Gary Spence. Be open to wonder rather than closed by belief.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Mhm.
Wow.